Good morning. We're gonna get back to working on Dashkin. So let's see, where were we? Well, according to my notes, we had added a whole bunch of little things to our sky. We'd messed with the subsurface colors. So some of the things that we need to work on today, we need to get the bloom. So we need to get the bloom lighting set up properly for the sunrise, sunset, and the day-night stuff, and make it tunable. So let's see. And if we get to it, we'll also want to test out reflections and stuff like that. Make sure that reflections actually work properly with our sky and all that. So let's see. We are going to need our... How did we set this up before? We set this up before, basically, I'm just going to close a whole bunch of stuff to make sure that it's all closed. Yeah, we had also fixed the shadows for all these things. So let's see, what was it? The celestial light that we had the shadows on? Alright. So what does this look like at the moment? Alright, so we are going to want the light that we have for the God rays. So we've got this God light here, which we're going to be using. Basically, how we wanted this to work, or how we want this to work, is that how God rays work with the current lighting system is you've got these light shafts and the occlusion on these light shafts. And you can kind of see how all this works. Is basically the light shafts. When you're looking close to, when it's on screen, we can do stuff with that. And kind of how it works is there's a bloom scale for the light, which has to do with how intense the light is, and also all that. Alright, so So we can have like a small bit of bloom. And the question is, do we need to actually have the second light cast the bloom? I think we do. Alright. So what we need to do is we need to hook up this God light to be in exactly the same spot as the celestial light, but have different properties. So let's go ahead and start messing with that. So the celestial light, let's turn bloom off. Let's see, where is it? Modulated shadows, light shafts. Alright, so it's off by default here. Good. Hello, Kento456. And let's make sure we have these things set to default for our lights. There's just so many options here, it's kind of difficult sometimes to see everything. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to get this God light, which is our actual light that we're using here, and we're going to want to turn on the light shaft bloom and the light shaft occlusion. Alright, we'll save that, we'll compile it, and then we also need to, in the update call, make sure that it's aligned. So let's get our relative location for our God light. Let's snag that. We'll set it to the same relative rotation as the other light to start with. We might need to change that because of some reflection with water. We'll figure that out in a little bit. Alright, so we've got the same relative rotation here. And what about the color for the light? No God light? Fine, we'll call it the Crep light. For crepuscular rays, which is the other name for them. Alright, so we're setting our light colors all over the place. So what we're going to want to do is set them all in the same spot again. So every time we set our celestial light color, well, I guess one of the things is we could actually just set our light color right in here. We'll set this guy to the light color from our celestial light. So we'll match it right there. Simple enough. Alright, so inside of our Crep light we can start messing with this a little bit. Alright, so the intensity is very low. The light color is getting set to white. Alright, we want to not cast shadows with this light. And we want the ambient occlusion. Everything close to the camera will occlude light shadows. I just want everything. We're going to see everything can occlude. And what would be nice is if we could actually have the clouds occlude light. But that's not really what's going to happen. Alright, so what we want to be able to do is our bloom threshold, and I wish there was an easy way for me to show both of these things kind of on the screen. So I'll do my best. Basically what we're doing is we're modifying these light shafts. So our bloom threshold, scene color must be larger than this to create light shafts. Alright, so like so if we change the threshold a bit, that changes where it's actually going to show up. And the bloom scale, yeah, it's really not very noticeable. So let's see, we're playing with the occlusion darkness as well here. So I guess this is 0 darkness. So that means it's completely, an occlusion means a value of 1 means that there's no occlusion. Is that true? Doesn't seem to do anything. Whether to render light shaft bloom from this light. For directional lights, the color around the light direction will be blurred radially and added back to the scene. For point lights, the color is closer. Alright. So we could try messing around with the color of the bloom. Let's see, let's fast forward to the daytime. Alright, so we definitely want some sort of... We want bloom to have a different value during sunrise and sunset and all that. That's what it looks like. Alright. So what we're going to need is a few things. We're going to want... So a night bloom, we need a sunrise bloom, we need a sunset bloom. Alright. So we need those on our actual thing. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see, this is day, night, subsurface. Alright, so for during the night, we'll add another variable here. We'll call this night bloom. Do a float, and we'll put this at 0.01. Slider range from 0 to, let's just say 0.02. Just throw that in night. And then we're going to want our daytime. So it will be sunrise bloom. Day bloom. And sunset bloom. So let's set these values. I think the day bloom will have like just, it should be 0. Sunrise and sunset will have just a little bit more. So 0.02 on it. Alright, we'll save, compile that, and let's go then set our actual bloom. So let's see. I'll call this one actual bloom. This is not a public variable. And it should be a 0 to start with. So what we're going to do is we are going to, in our align light code, set our set bloom scale, and we're going to set that to actual bloom every frame. And inside of our other things, we're going to, in our compute time of day, we're going to set actual bloom to certain things. Alright, so during the day, let's see, for sunrise, we're going to go from, I'm going to have a few. So I'm going to make one, I'm going to call it bloom, a local variable here. Alright, so this is for sunrise. During the day, it's going to go from night bloom to day bloom. So let's go ahead and get all this set up. Alright, so we're going to grab the... This is just a very complicated blueprint, but it's actually not too awful. Like, it's more organized than it is disorganized, surprisingly. And then day bloom is going to be what it's going to go to. Alright, we're going to set the actual bloom. Let's see, we're going to alert this value. Based on weight, we're going to go from we're going to get the bloom, and we want sunrise bloom. So based on weight, we're going to have more or less bloom. And weight is the percentage that we are actually in sunrise or sunset in this case. Alright, so we've got this. So we basically need to copy paste this. Well, we want to set our, during the regular daytime, we'll want to set our stuff properly as well. Let's see. We want to set actual bloom to the day bloom. So let's do that. And then during the sunset, we'll do the same weight shift stuff, but we need to have it go from daytime to nighttime. So the opposite of this. So let's get a little bit more space here in our blueprint. Slap it in here. Just like that. And I'm out of caffeine today. I did not have any energy drinks, so it is a sad day today. I have to go to the store. I have to go outside. That sucks. Alright, so we'll go from day to night, and this guy down here needs to use sunset bloom, not sunrise. So we'll snag that, throw it in there. Alright, so let's take a look at nighttime. So we're going to set our actual bloom right here to our night bloom. This one's pretty simple. For the night, we're just going to let it roll as itself, not have anything crazy going on. Alright, so during the morning, we will have some bloom, and then it's going to go to almost nothing. And during the evening, we're going to have the same sort of thing, where it's going to go, where's our bloom? Ah, there is bloom. Was it actually getting set properly? Supposedly, it was going with sunset bloom. The sunset bloom is set to 0.02. Alright. So that's looking pretty much like what I want. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to see if I can mess around with this light a little bit more, like this crepe light. And I think that's pretty much it for that. I don't really see much else that we need to do. Alright, well let's go ahead and go through and set our defaults up properly for these values then. Alright, well let's go through and set our defaults for all of our objects here. Alright. So let's see, we'll start at the top. Alright, so the test skybox. What do we got? We got material, we have sky material. We want it to default to that. Let's see, our clouds should be 0.01, 0.1 clouds, cloud tile multiplier 1, 5, and then 3, I guess? Yeah, there we go. Alright, celestial size. That looks like we want 0.5. Celestial color is fine. It's 0, -1, 0.25. Spectral halo. Halo exists is true or false. Alright, then we've got our night. So the star brightness at night should be 2. Moon texture is final moon. The sky color is that. We have the tile multiplier is 6. Moonlight is 4. 15, 15. Night skylight intensity is 0.5. And the intensity base was 0.25. Alright, see during the day, we have the sun, rise angle is 15, the height angle is 40. Sky color, alright, this is 1.5, 1.5, then 6, 3, and these were both 5. And these were, the skylights were both 1 for this. Oh, these aren't actually exposed. We should go ahead and expose these in the editor. Alright, so bloom lighting at night. Alright, so that's it at sunset. Alright, so day-night, time of day is, let's just put it at noon, time of day advance is 0, sunrise is 6.5, sunset is 17.5, transition time is 0.5. Moon rise, moon set, celestial vector, let's see, rise men height is -5. Alright, so clouds 2, tile multiplier is 1.8, cloud brightness is 0.2, speed and all that is standard. Let's see, celestial, we need the sky. Okay, so the sky source export, we want the Brackenwood sky. So I think we've got all of our defaults set. Alright, let's take a look. Let's make sure it's all set up properly. Very good. I think we're pretty much there. As far as matching our time, matching our piece of concept art, I think we're right where we should be. I think we're done. So we were trying to match this piece of art that Adam put together for me. And I think we got all the elements. Like we got the stars, we've got, you know, the light in the background, we've got shadows and crazy stuff like that. We're able to change the color of the light and everything. It's not as blue as this piece of art, but that doesn't matter. And all the rest of this stuff is available that it could be modified. So I think we're good to go. And we've also got like our daytime and everything else. And of course the ground is all sorts of stupid, but that doesn't matter. Alright, so one of the things that we want to do is we want to test out reflections and all that. Going over some of my notes here. Alright, so we're supposed to test out the reflections. I should have gone over a lot of stuff while working on this. Alright, yeah, all the way back. Alright, so we need to test out reflections for this stuff. And render, yeah, the other thing we could look at would be rendering clouds as a separate sky sphere, which is inside of our other sky sphere. And see what we can do with that. You know, like, if these clouds were actually just, you know, a different sphere rendered sort of inside of this sphere, then we might be able to do a lot of things like change the bloom color coming through, and like we might be able to occlude things and all that, and maybe separate the clouds out from the sky a little bit nicer. Alright, other things we need to do is we need to take all the assets out of test content and put them into organized folders. So we need to do that as well. Alright, so let's start with those reflections real quick. So let's see, how do we make the reflection stuff? But it's a planar reflection and water. So we'll go ahead and copy those things out of this other level. And if we paste them in here, here we go, with our planar reflection and our water. So let's grab our water and let's turn its scale down to something, you know, reasonable. And same with our planar reflection. So let's throw our water where we want it. Let's see, what can we do with this? I would like an area here that's maybe devoid of grass or whatever, so we can actually paint like a little lake area over here. Something like this. Let's make sure we got it all saved up and everything else, so I don't accidentally screw everything up. So I'm just kind of nudging this stuff down. A little bit inside of this area. And then I think we'll want to do a smooth pass. Alright, let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks like a kind of a lake bed there. So let's see, this entire landscape is at a 5-degree angle, so we're going to want to do the same thing here. I mean, it's kind of hilarious what we're doing. It's like, oh yeah, water's at a 5-degree angle. What? Let's see if we can scale this water out into the rest of this without having it look awful. Alright, so let's get our sculpt back on. Alright, so I think what we can do now is we can just kind of paint around this thing, kind of like this. And then we'll paint the grass in here. Nice water. Thank you. I did not make it myself. Let's give ourselves a smaller brush here. And we're just going to test out that the water does what we want, and if we need a planar reflection or not for this sort of setup. And if we're really doing like a lake, we'd probably have another layer here that wasn't just grass. We'd have, like a lake sort of layer. Anyway, so we've got a lake now. Let's see, it doesn't need to be as big, so we can just kind of do that to it. Yeah, we'd also have, you know, some sort of... Alright, so we can't even see the damn lake. Well, it's good to know. Before I spend time prettying stuff up, I guess I should make sure I can actually see it in the damn world, huh? Yeah, we're working on a 2D game. It's kind of, you know, 2D game with, you know, 3D elements. That's the kind of the game we're working on right now. We're experimenting with some visual stuff. Right now, this we were trying to match this piece of concept art with our kind of our scene. You know, kind of getting like that sort of thing going on. And what we're going to do now is see like what exactly we need for reflections for everything. You know, like if we need the planar reflections. Also, the looks incredible. And no, it's looking like all this art, all these pieces of art are all placeholder garbage. Like this is all just trash put together in the semblance of what it will be later. Like all this stuff in here, it's just like stuff I snagged from the artist Adam. And after I get kind of the nuts and bolts and everything wired up, and we figure out like, okay, this is how we can do shadows, this is how we can do, you know, clouds, and this is how we can do weather. Once we figure all that out, then we can unleash, you know, our artist on our actual stuff. We just want to make sure we don't waste all of his time. So what I need to do here is I need to figure out a way to... Because the thing is, at our camera angle, we can't really see the water very well. Like, very well at all, I should say. So let's take a look. Like, this entire world, like, you don't really see it, but this entire world is at a 5-degree slope. And that's so on a 2D game like this, we can actually have a sense of depth. And like, oh, that's the horizon. It looks right going in the background. Nah, it's just total trash. Like, it's an illusion. Well, Sir Resident, that is something many people have attempted to do, and everybody does it differently as far as I'm aware. So let's see if we have the water actually flat, as opposed to having the water follow the 5-degree slope rule. Does it pop out and make it look better? I think it does. Alright, well, let's crack open this guy real quick. We'll do a sculpt Let's try to drop some of this area down. I don't really like dealing with some of this stuff all the time with height maps. It's kind of kludgy trying to get everything, because you can never quite get everything exactly how you want it, is what kind of I see a lot of the time. Yeah, see, like, just even messing around with just that little bit with our height map and everything goes straight to hell. Like, it wouldn't look like it, but we just completely broke the level. And that's what I don't like about terrain sculpting for games like this, is it's really damn difficult to figure out what's going on with it. Because when you're looking at it, you're like, ah, that looks fine. You're like, nope. The question is, why is all this looking real sparse and stupid over here? Is there a painting reason for it? Because we got it set up so we can paint on grass and stuff like that inside of the editor here. That's a problem. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. Alright, let's see if we can paint on just some dirt on the outside of this lake. See if it doesn't look like complete garbage. I mean, it's garbage dirt, yes, but screw it, let's just throw a bunch of it. Looks alright. We're getting the reflection of the landscape in the water, getting the reflection of the mountain in the water. Not really getting the reflection too much, though, of anything else. So it's not really the best reflection, but it is there. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to sculpt. Kind of like that. I'm also trying to experiment at this point and see like what things kind of look like when we're messing around with them. Alright. So we've got our water over there, and it looks like some of the notes that we should write down. Like, water works best when at a 0-degree angle, while the land works best at a 5-degree angle. So let's go and throw this. Well, there's a couple things we want to make sure about, which is the reflection. So let's take a look at the reflection when we have a bright light in the scene. So let's go change our time of day. Yeah, look at that. The light isn't getting occluded in the reflection by the. There's no shadow on the reflection, so it looks really bad. Alright, so those reflections, I forget exactly what the water reflection is. It's like we don't have collision presets. We should turn to 0. So we have test water 2. It's a geometric plane. Let's actually open up test water 2 and see what it's. Yeah, it's just the water is just kind of a crappy water texture. Actually, no, we're not even using a water texture on it. It's literally just a color with a reflection on it. There's nothing to this water whatsoever. So it's just using the normal lighting reflection stuff. Let's see, dynamic shadows, static shadows, blah blah blah. Doesn't look like we need anything else on here for water specifically, so the only thing we could do is grab this planar reflection volume. So I've got this water here, which the z, so it's negative 960, 970. Alright, so we'll copy that, grab our planar reflection. We'll see how this looks if we slop it right on top.